I'd like to put out there about what happened today. The passing away of Shane Warne, a legend of the game. Myself being a leg spinner, I'm massively inspired by himself and Anil Kumble. I think Warne was someone who entered the game and left the game in a very different state. I think he changed the game remarkably well. And just condolences to his family and his loved ones, and a sad day for the world of cricket. Hey guys, welcome back to Top Edge Podcast. I know it's been a while since you saw the last video, but we're back. And today we're discussing about the emission of Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane from the test side. Something that perhaps has been on the card for a while, given their recent performances. But again, two vastly experienced players occupying the top order and the middle order. Number 3 and number 5, two crucial positions in test match cricket. We're going to discuss about that. Today I'm joined by a new guest. So we have Sahil today. Sahil, if you could introduce yourself, bro.
Yeah, I'm Sahil Bhawani. I play for the KCLCC and I'm a first year student at King's studying accounting and finance. So I've known Weber through the KCLCC.
Lovely to have you here, Sahil. So we'll start off by just talking about their mission from the test side. Why do you think it happened? Do you think it was something that was perhaps in the cards for a long time to come, or is it a shock to you?
It wasn't probably a shock because, so if we look at their past performances, they haven't been, performing up to the mark, up to the levels they had been performing earlier. So if we see the pre-COVID performances, it has been a consistent performance. But post-COVID, in 2020, 2019, they haven't been scoring much runs, I presume. There could be possibly many reasons. One of them could be the bio bubble fatigue, many players are experienced right now.
Yeah.
But so if we look at the figures also, the recent South Africa test, they Ajinkya did score a 50 there, but it wasn't a consistent performance by him. It was just one match and then it just went downhill again. Around 6, you're playing 3 test matches and then you get 6 innings and then you're not even scoring 150 runs in all combined matches. So I don't think it's the performance you would expect from 2 class players like them. And Rahane and Pujara, especially both of them, are known to be one of the crucial test players for India, especially Pujara. After Rahul Dravid, we've classified him as the wall for cricket, in test cricket. And if players like them are not performing up to the mark, so it would have been in the charts for the selectors for a few while, and obviously the upcoming players right now. So obviously they wanted to give them a chance. And if we see it push, so Sri Lanka is not one of the top test playing nations, I see. So giving other players a chance except for Pujara and Rahane would also provide them an opportunity if other players, for example, didn't work out in the future for them, who else could replace them, So this was the one of the perfect opportunities they would have gotten to replace them and check who is a viable replacement for them.
I agree. I think the last century that Rahane scored was Sydney in the
2019.
I think it was 2021. I think it was down under the Australia tour that we won. But the test after Virat Kohli left, the test following the Adelaide test, in my opinion, one of the best innings by an Indian batsman in recent times, given the fact we got bowled out for 36.
Yeah, exactly.
So coming back, you've lost your captain, you've lost the best cricketer in the world, and then you've come in and then you've taken over his captaincy and you've scored that remarkable 100 and leveled the series. That too in the second innings of a test match in Sydney. I think that was spectacular. But then, yes, after that, there was New Zealand. After that, there was the tour in England, the World Test Championship, South Africa. Yes, one could argue that some of the series that they are playing here are probably the toughest series one could play as a test cricketer. Touring England, touring South Africa for India has always been the toughest. However, like we've said, they're the experienced players. They are the backbone of Indian test batting. So with that comes expectations. Yes, perhaps Pujara and Rahane in recent times haven't stood up to the expectations that are expected from them. One thing I'd like to ask you, which is something that crossed my mind, do you think Pujara should have been dropped? Because Pujara had some decent performances in England as well. He didn't do terribly, South Africa. Yes, not as good as we'd expected.
Exactly.
But do you think somewhat this has been a gimmick where they didn't just want to drop Rahane, so they dropped two together?
It can go both the ways, but like the topic I touched upon, like we had like the previous question, it would probably have been the reason. One of the reasons is the opposition. If we see, like, not being biased here, but Sri Lanka is not one of the like top test playing nations we know.
Yeah.
So if you're dropping Rahane, they would have probably, like we see Shreyas Iyer, Hanuma Vihari playing right now. So this, like, dropping two players at the time would have given them opportunity to play two extra players. You see what I'm getting? Because it's like Sri Lanka right now, and getting to know how like the future of Test cricket, like Shreyas Iyer, we've seen how he played the last three T20s against Sri Lanka, scoring a 15, all of them. It's a great deal. And then they just probably would have, check him out how he plays Test, because right now, current situation, the fourth position in ODIs and T20s is also been, going like haywire. KL Rahul sometimes playing, and then so they want a steady team. I think they want a steady team, a similar team across all formats of the game. That's why they even chose Rohit Sharma as the captain. Probably you see Rohit Sharma is like one of the oldest Indian Test captains to debut like as a Test captain right now. So they want I presume that they want a consistent team, consistent captain all around. So they're just trying to build up a team which, is a wholesome team, which can play either T20s, Test, or an ODI, which is difficult, which is really difficult to, build a team like that. But on the same hand, Shreyas Iyer, they've tried Shreyas Iyer. Harman Vihari has played great for the domestic cricket, and they're practicing. So it's not just that, they're just sitting idle. They're trying to get the game up through playing domestic cricket.
Yeah. And somewhere I'd slightly disagree here is having a T20 side and having a Test side. You can't compare, first of all. One point I'd agree with, though, is Shreyas Iyer at 5. Yes, he played a Test against New Zealand and scored 100 on debut and a 50 in the second innings as well. So he has proven himself against a top opposition. Be that in home conditions without Trent Boult playing. But 100 in Test match is 100. Like, you need to be a solid player to be able to do that. But yeah, I think if we look at all of the great Test nations or all great white ball nations as well, there's never the same team that's playing across formats. So
that's what I was wondering, because the thing is, when Virat Kohli dropped out as the Test captain, the first instinct that everybody had was Rahane to be, the follow-on captain and not Rohit Sharma. So that is the ideology. I thought they're going through with it. I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong on this. But if we see right now, Bumrah as the vice captain, and then Rohit Sharma as the captain, if you see the top order, it's quite as, like, if we're not wrong, it's quite a similar team to what they've been playing on ODS and T20. It's not like a very different team for India. Yeah. And we know that India has a lot of dynamic players. It's not just that. If you see Ravindra Jadeja, for example, he can play a hot shot innings, score like 50 runs, 40 runs, quick batting, that's it. And then if we see in Test, he can play it slow, get steady, hit a few shots, classic shots, So that's what that was my personal belief, what they're trying to do right now. I might be wrong, I'm not saying that, but if you look at the captaincy also, Rohit Sharma wasn't the first instinct that everybody would have after dropping, like Virat Kohli dropped Test captaincy, but still they went with Rohit Sharma, and Rohit Sharma is like a recent player for Test. It's like not a permanent player for so long. Virat Kohli was like a permanent player for a very long time, but Rohit Sharma has been like a recent permanent player, and giving him the captaincy is a really big deal. And I just feel it's somewhat his decision also, if we come to know, because giving youngsters a chance is always what Rohit Sharma has been through. Like, even if you see Mumbai Indians or giving to ODIs, he's always the one trying to, back up the young players.
And that's where you're right. I think in the sense that change in captaincy, change in backroom stuff, I think this is the perfect time, with the opposition being Sri Lanka as well, to try out new options. Because we know that in terms of longevity of Test match cricket, Rohit isn't going to be the captain for 4, 5, 6 years to come.
Exactly.
That's a fact. So in the near future, I think the responsibility that Virat and Rohit have as senior members of the team is create that side that when they do retire in 3, 4, 5 years, whenever it may be, there's a solid backbone of a team. Because what you don't want is what happened to Indian cricket maybe 7, 8 years back, is when you have 4 or 5 of the most crucial players of the test team retiring at once.
The
And
same
we
thing,
saw Rahul Dravid, Lakshman, Tendulkar, Ganguly, Dhoni, all these guys retired within a couple years span of each other. And then we saw India plummet down to the 7th in the world test rankings when Virat took over. So I think, yeah, perhaps it's a good decision. And that swiftly brings us on to my next question. We've touched on it, you've touched on it, Shreyas Iyer. Who do you think are the candidate replacements for these two?
For sure, Shreyas Iyer can be one. Shreyas Iyer can be he's playing right now.
At 5?
At 5, yeah. And what I feel is like Virat Kohli should promote himself to like the 3rd. Not
Okay.
he should be playing at 4th right now.
Okay.
Should promote, and then like Hanuma Vihari, if they're trying out Hanuma Vihari, they could try out Surya Kumar Yadav at 4.
Okay.
And then have a player, because he's also an experienced player. He is very experienced in this, and trying to find out like I just said, Sri Lanka, you can try out new players every time. Sri Lanka, and they try out the youngster teams. Right now, we even know when the Asia Cup is going to go on, they have a series against Zimbabwe. So there's going to be 2 different sides, proper Indian sides playing at the same time. That shows how much Indian cricket is right now about youngsters.
And the depth we have as well.
Exactly. That's like how much reliable players India has right now, that they can build 2 11s, a proper 11 team, 2 proper 11 teams playing international cricket. So trying out new players every time would give them an opportunity to see how players react to different situations, because every test has a different result, has a different situation, have a different pitch. So that doesn't, if you try out a player in one situation, it doesn't mean that he can't play in a different situation, different weather condition or different pitch condition.
That's fine. But so you're saying that India should opt for a similar side across 3 formats, right? That's what you're trying to go for.
That's not what I am putting upon, but that's what I think the Indian team is putting upon.
Right. Okay. What about Gill? See, the way I kind of slightly disagree with you here is not disagree, but I feel as though the Virat should bat at 4. I personally believe that. I feel as though he has most of his career and he's been very successful there, and elevating himself to number 3, which in my opinion is a harder position to bat at. To elevate yourself when you're already not in the best of forms, I don't think that's the best decision. I think what you could potentially do is put Shubman Gill at number 3. And then when you do that, it gives you a youngster at the top who has impeccable technique. And then you have Iyer at 5 or Hanuma Vihari at 5. What do you think?
I probably feel Iyer at 5, because in the long run, if we see, Iyer is going to be a much more reliant player to be on than Hanuma Vihari.
Okay.
And then we've seen, like, if what I believe, one of the future prospect Indian captains in a year, because as we've seen IPL going on, he's a very reliable captain. And right now, if we see the future, because Virat Kohli has dropped out of captaincy and Rohit Sharma is not a long way there to, just finish off his test career. So we need someone with experience to take up the Indian captaincy. And I feel like Shreyas Iyer is one of the best candidates to do so.
I think one thing people don't consider, in fact, is the age. So when you're saying that, yes, Shreyas Iyer is a young player, he's 27, and that is a young age. But Vihari is also only 28. I think everybody somehow believes that Vihari is a lot older than he is because he's been around the domestic circuit for so long. But he's only 28, and I feel as though if he works on his fitness and keeps fit, there's at least 5-6 years worth of solid test match cricket in him. Exactly. And I think he doesn't play the fancy shots. I think he's someone who's averaging 50 plus in domestic cricket, has done for years, performing consistently well.
Triple century back in domestic cricket. So
yeah, and he's performed really well for India A circuits as well. And like just before the South Africa tour, he did really well for India in South Africa as well, and had a pretty decent couple test matches in South Africa. So I think Vihari's this perhaps the Sam Billings of Indian the English cricket team. Last man in, first man out.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel as though that's a bit of perseverance is needed with him. So I'm glad that they stuck with him and he's batting 3 in this test match, because it would have been very easy to give somebody like Gill the number 3 position, someone young, someone more enterprising than him. But yeah, what are your thoughts then about that?
So, yeah, I'm not saying that you're wrong in this, because yeah, he's 28, 27. 1 year doesn't make that of a difference in cricket right now. But as I said, in a year you see that future captain prospects if you groom him properly.
Even in test matches?
So right now, if you see, they've made Bumrah the vice captain for Indian team, which I don't think is like the proper skills to become a captain right now. Because if you see, he's never properly captained anyone right now, like any team.
But is that not because KL Rahul is absent from the team?
It is. But the thing is, if we point out that if any of the player, Rohit Sharma or KL Rahul is going to be gone for like match or something, a series, then they're going to be reliant on Bumrah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, that's not because if you see even in Mumbai Indians, you see the vice captain for Mumbai Indians was Pollard and not Bumrah. After Rohit Sharma, Pollard was going to be the person. Pollard has always been the person who's been captain in Mumbai.
But that was also because Pollard has that experience, right? That international experience.
Exactly.
If you look at Australia right now, Australia has Pat Cummins as their captain, right? In test matches.
But the thing is, see, they still have Smith and Warner playing. They still have that experience with them. Just because the past events, they couldn't make them the captains.
Yeah.
That they still have the, help for them. But if we see when this Virat and Rohit retire, we can't see Bumrah as a captain because we wouldn't have that help on the ground. Off the ground, obviously they could have helped him, but on the ground, if you see, Pat Cummins had like a couple of people there to help him out, but Bumrah wouldn't have that. Shreyas Iyer, I just feel that overall, if you see, he has a better captaincy skill set than Bumrah, and it's not that, and he's a very dynamic player. He can play a little up the order, not even opening, but a little up the order, a little down the order, whatever you want him to play. That gives him a better opportunity to be a better fit in the Indian team.
Than Vihari. So you're picking Shreyas or Vihari. Give me one name.
Sorry?
Give me one name, Shreyas or Vihari.
Shreyas Iyer.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I think Shreyas is definitely somebody to bank on. I feel as though he's a very mature cricketer. I think he's someone insanely good to have in the dressing room. I think somebody who brings life to the dressing room just by the character that he is. And sometimes you need that because test cricket is tough. Test cricket is long hours in the field. So I think having somebody like that in the dressing room can definitely lift spirits. I think that's why Pandya is so loved in the Indian setup, because of the character that he is rather than the player at times. Okay, that makes sense. Just kind of rounding this off. So Chetan Sharma, the head of the Indian selection committee, said that there's no way that there's no reason why Pujara and Rahane couldn't come back into the team.
Exactly.
However, what Rohit Sharma just said in yesterday's press conference was there are big boots to fill, referring to Rahane and Pujara. So if you look at this, slightly contrasting, because Rohit is almost indicating that they're done. We need 2 players to fill their boots.
This might be because of the reason. So they've started their domestic journey again. They're starting.
And they got 100. Like both of them, Pujara got a 90 and Rahane got 100.
100, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So if they get the momentum going again, it's not necessary that they will see an exit from the Indian cricket team.
Yeah.
But right now, looking at the current form, Rohit Sharma has always been emphasizing on the current form and how people are performing right now at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
He's backing on the player on the current form. So he's just right now maybe talking about the characters because they haven't been performing for a long time. And he presumed that he must, want to see them consistently performing in domestic cricket before getting them back to the team. I just think that one single 100 wouldn't make like a difference for him and wouldn't give him like an opportunity to get them back to the team. He wants to see them perform consistently so that he can give them an opportunity back to the Indian cricket team.
Rahane also got a duck just now in his second match. He just got a duck as well, then a 50. So I think that's something that has been the trend with Rahane over the last couple of years. It's this.
Yeah, it's not been consistent at all. So it's been up or just down. That's it.
And I think at number 5, you need consistency. You need what Jadeja is giving right now. You need that guy to get that 40, 50, 60 consistently every single match. Your number 5, if they get you 100, that's a bonus, in my opinion. Like you expect them to get 100, but if they're giving you an average of 45 to 50 every single match, that's more than what you can ask for from your number 5.
Because in Test cricket, it's like a 5-day game. So even if you lose a couple of wickets or 2 or 3 wickets, it's not that the game is over for the batting side.
Exactly.
If they still have a strong middle order, if they get out like a couple wickets at 100, and if the middle order is strong for India, so they can get, the middle 3-4 batsmen, even if they get 40 each, that'll be like 200 runs, So that'll be so much better for India than the current position, because even you can't just rely on the player, you just hope that they get runs. You can't just rely and you can just bet that they'll get runs. You can just, hope that, okay, Rahane should play right now because, you just expect it from them.
Fine. Give me a yes or no answer. Okay. Are Rahane or Pujara, or even one of them, making it back into the Test team in the future? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Who?
For me right now, it's Rahane.
Rahane, not Pujara.
No.
Fine. Okay, so that concludes this. Thank you so much for watching. Just one quick message that I'd like to put out there about what happened today. The passing away of Shane Warne, a legend of the game. Myself being a leg spinner, I'm massively inspired by himself and Anil Kumble. I think Warne was someone who entered the game and left the game in a very different state. I think he changed the game remarkably well. And yeah, just condolences to his family and his loved ones, and a sad day for the world of cricket. But thank you, everyone. Cheers. Thanks for joining. And Sahil, thank you for helping out. Cheers, boss.